Good evening, everyone. The date is May 4th, 2020. I call to order a meeting of the Havre Grace Mayor and City Council. The time is now 7 p.m. I'm going to call the roll call. Council President Glenn.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
Councilmember Ringsacher.
Here.
Councilmember Martin is absent.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Martin is really struggling with pneumonia right now, so he was unable to attend tonight.
All right, well, Councilmember Martin will be in our thoughts and prayers as he recovers from pneumonia. Thank you very much. Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Excellent. Everyone, please join for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could ever ask everyone to please remain standing as I call for the opening prayer submitted by Pastor Norman Obenshain of Havre Grace United Methodist Church, and it'll be read this evening by Councilmember Ringsacher.
Bow your heads. God of us all, creator, protector, and sustainer of life, guide our work this evening that we may do what you desire, that we may do the most good for the most people possible. In this time of great danger, great challenge, and great fear, help us be, not panicked, but prepared, not crazed, but careful, not in denial, but determined to overcome this pandemic together. Help us love our neighbor by being calm, concerned, and candid, and by doing those things in our power to protect each other, especially the most vulnerable among us, those who are ill, infirm, or food insecure. Thank you, gracious giver, for all the means you have given us as a city to weather this storm and care for our citizens, including the skills, effort, and dedication of our leaders and employees. Guide and guard them as they work to keep us safe and supplied with all we need. Thank you, Holy One, for the freedom to govern ourselves, to choose our leaders, and to deploy resources as we decide. Thank you for the innovation unleashed by the liberty across our nation. Protect and inspire all who work tirelessly to provide public health and medical care and devise treatments and preventions to keep us well and restore our health. Thank you for the blessings and the power of connection and community, even represented by this gathering. Make all we decide to do please you. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Sir.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ringsacher, and thank you very much, Pastor Norman, for your inspiring words and your thoughts and prayers for us. We appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 5 this evening, approval of the minutes from the council meeting of April 20th. Council, do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Ringsacher. Questions or comments on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Council meeting minutes of April 20th, 2020 carry 5-0 in the affirmative. We're going to go to item number 6, comments from the mayor. I only have a few prepared comments I want to read into the record real quick, just as a reminder of the current situation of council meetings and how we're going to conduct them and what to expect this evening. So I jotted down a few prepared notes so I don't forget anything. Hey, good evening, everybody. As was the case on April 20th meeting of the Mayor and City Council, tonight's meeting is being live streamed to comply with Governor Hogan's executive orders as it relates to social distancing and to provide the public with opportunity to watch the proceedings live. The city advertised tonight's proceedings on our city website, social media, and the shadow box out in front of City Hall, as well as the agenda and specific directions to inform the public as to how comments may be received. As required to conform with the Maryland Open Meetings Act, tonight's council meeting will include a public hearing. So in addition to the live streaming, what is different with tonight's meeting as compared to our normal meeting? We will hold tonight's meeting using a modified agenda. Only time-sensitive business will be brought before the council. You will notice that only the mayor, the council members, the city attorney, and a camera person are physically in the council chambers. Any member of the public wishing to speak will be permitted to enter the chambers one at a time. Legislation will be introduced tonight, specifically the tax rate and the water sewer rate. After introduction, there will be a recess of the council meeting in order to hold a public hearing on both ordinances. I will read into the record citizen comments which were filed by letter or email. We also entertain any citizen comments from citizens who have come to City Hall. Those citizens will be directed into the chambers after sanitizing their hands and donning a mask, one at a time by staff members, so that we are compliant with the governor's social distancing requirements. After the public hearing, I will reconvene the meeting and will only receive citizen comments on agenda items, item number 7 this evening. This meeting will be recorded and included in its normal programming time slot on Hartford Cable Network. And I ask everybody to please be patient as we walk through this. Just want to remind everyone, again, the only thing different tonight is we will be introducing 2 ordinances, the tax rate and water and sewer rate. Whereas normally we would have an introduction of an ordinance at one council meeting, and then the following council meeting, we'd have a public hearing, and then a meeting after that, we'd have a second reading and adoption. Because of our current circumstances with COVID-19, we're going to introduce the ordinance this evening and then break out for a public comment session. We will still wait till the next council meeting to hold the second vote and adoption of the ordinances for the tax rate and water and sewer rate. And again, it's important to us that we always allow the possibility for citizens to physically come in this building and address the city council, which is possible. You just need to come to City Hall during these council meetings, and you'll be greeted outside the door, and when we get to the part for citizen comment, one person can come in at a time and speak whatever they want to about what's on the agenda this evening. So I just want to clear that up. So as long as we're under the governor's executive orders for the whole list of stay-at-home orders of social distancing, limit to 10 people in a room, stay-at-home orders. So we're doing the best we can to make sure that the city business is still carried out and adhere to the charter requirements with some of our ordinances that deal with budget, tax rate, water and sewer rate, things like that. So thank you for your time, and we're going to move on through the agenda now. And we're going to go to item number 7, comments from citizens on agenda items. Do we have any citizens outside City Hall that wish to come in and speak?
Sir, none present.
Okay, thank you very much. We currently have no citizens outside wishing to speak on the agenda. I also have no prepared phone calls or emails to read into the record. So since we have no citizen comment at the moment, we will move on to item 8, resolutions. Resolutions, item A, Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, I move that we adopt the resolution concerning the composting collection with Garrity Renewables.
Thank you very much. I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Ringsacher. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce resolution carries 5-0 in the affirmative. I'm going to read the header and assign a number here. This is going to be Resolution 2020-09. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the Section 33 and 34 of the City Charter and the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, to authorize the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Havre de Grace Green Team as it relates to composting collection with Garrity Renewables on city property. So this is Resolution 2020-09. And Council, with that said, do I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Councilmember Boyer,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Ringsacher. Questions or comments on the resolution? Councilmember Boyer.
So I just want to quickly go over a couple of things. I have a letter from the Green Team written by Daniel Wolf, who is the Zero Waste Initiative's chairperson on the Green Team. She writes, "Good evening, council members and Mayor Martin. On behalf of the Zero Waste Initiative of the Havre Grace Green Team, I wish to express support for this resolution, which will set in place the framework for establishment of a food waste drop-off area near Hutchins Park by allowing veterans compost to transform our kitchen scraps into compost. We will be ensuring that less waste ends up at the landfill. Food scraps are a major component of the waste that Havre Grace sends to landfill, where they produce methane, and their value for composting is lost. This program is one of the first to be established in the region. It provides our citizens with a new way to contribute to the protection of the environment. Opportunities like this help make Havre Grace stand out as a unique and forward-looking place to call home. Our gratitude goes to the council and mayor for consideration of and assistance in setting up this program. Sincerely, Daniel Wolf." I just want to point out a couple of things. First, this is a demonstration project. It's a proof of concept. It has a start and beginning. The target audience is the people who are going to the farmers market. There will be a marketing campaign to reach out to that population, and as well as to all of Havre Grace citizens, to let everybody know what's expected, what you can do, what you can't do. It's a very interesting opportunity for us to, again, reduce the amount of material going into our waste stream and hopefully saving us money on that regard, but at the same time, doing a significant contribution to our world in general by making sure that we reuse what we've been provided with. If anybody has any questions, I can answer them, or we could reach back to the Green Team. There is a fenced enclosure that the bins will be going in. Individuals will come, hopefully when they go to the farmer's market, drop off their food scraps. It also takes cardboard, such as pizza boxes, and then go about buying more items that they can bring back the next week to the farmer's market for the composting. I think that's mainly it. But if anybody else has any questions, I'd be happy to comment.
Councilmember Zinner?
Thank you. First off, I want to thank you for all the work that you've done. I know you're very passionate about this topic, and it's been a long time that you've been working on it. And I really appreciate the MOU. I just have one question on item number 7 in the line 94. It says, "On or about March 20th, the Green Team shall present the Mayor and City Council an overview of the successes and the failures of the food composting program." Do they already have a model for what success looks like, or is this, I imagine it's going to be a dynamic document as...
It's going to be dynamic. They're going to do a couple of things. The way it was received by people at the farmer's market, the volume of material, and they're going to keep track, pickup to pickup, how much material is being brought for composting. And then they're also going to look at the waste stream and see if there's a reduction. We can do that by the tonnage.
Mm-hmm.
So based on all of that, they'll run the numbers and present it to the city council with their recommendation if we should make it something more permanent. Is it something that we only do seasonally? They'll come up with a recommendation to the city council.
And the only other concern I have is the challenges of odor control. I lived in Kennett Square, and the mushroom farms the closest one was a mile from me. And when I walked out of my house, I could smell it a mile away. So,
Right.
And the first time it happened, I just thought I had dead animals in my yard.
Right. So part of their responsibility is to educate the consumer, the user, not to put certain items in, including crabs and fish. The containers have a lid that when it closes, it seals.
Mm-hmm.
So usually it's only a 30-second up, throw it in, and it's down. We're told by Veterans Composting that in the midst of the hottest summer, they really don't have very many complaints in regards to odor. If that tent becomes a problem, it will be dealt with quickly.
Okay, and I do like the idea of it being locked and open certain hours, because I think it precludes anybody trying to sneak something in that shouldn't be there.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'm gonna call roll call on Resolution 2020-9, dealing with compost collection. Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsacher.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, Council Resolution 2020-09 is adopted and approved by this council. Thank you very much. And Councilmember Boyer, good job being the liaison between the Green Team and the city administration and your other council members as well. I know it took a while to get done, but I think it's a great project, and I really think composting is the future, really. I think how recycling is today, that's going to be composting 10 years from now. So I'm glad that Havre Grace can get a foothold on that. So well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's a win-win also for veterans composting. Working with a veteran-owned business is also very exciting.
Absolutely, 100%. That's great. It's good stuff. Thank you. We're going to go to item B, resolution concerning the Sergeant Alfred B. Hilton Monument. I'm going to start, hand over to Council President Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to move forward for appropriate action, the resolution concerning Sergeant Alfred B. Hilton Monument.
Council, I have a motion by Council President Glenn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Question or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce resolution carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be Resolution 2020-10. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to Section 34 of the City Charter and the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, to authorize the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Sergeant Alfred B. Hilton Memorial Fund Incorporated as it relates to the placement of a monument in the Millard E. Tidings Memorial Park, located in the city of Havre de Grace. This is Resolution 2020-10. Council, to have a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Council President Glenn, seconded by Councilmember Ringsacher. Questions or comments? Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Regarding this resolution, I received a letter from County Council Member Curtis Beulah, who also serves as the chairman of the Sergeant Alfred B. Hilton Memorial Fund Committee. And I'm not going to read the whole letter, but I'll read some excerpts. We are honored to partner with the City of Havre de Grace to ensure that Sergeant Hilton's actions and the impact of the 185,000 United States colored troops who fought valiantly for the cause of freedom during the Civil War are recognized. He was and remains the only Medal of Honor recipient from Harford County. In addition to that, I want to make note that the Sergeant Alfred B. Hilton Memorial Fund will incur all costs associated with the preparation, design, purchase, and installation of the monument. The only role for the city is, once the monument's in place, we'll maintain the grassy area around the monument, but it's little to no cost to the city. The actual fund will incur most of the costs. So that moving forward, I hope that we can get council support on this resolution.
Council President, thank you very much. Any other further questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner.
I just have a quick question. I see that they're underwriting the cost of everything and that they have a fund. Are they looking to see the fund get to a certain amount before they apply for the permits and get started on the monument? Or what's their target in terms of
I'm not
funds
so sure where
available?
they're at in the actual fundraising efforts.
I'm not 100% sure either.
But
Steve? Yeah. We're going to call in the Chief of Staff real quick into the room, answer a question. Thank you very much for joining us, Chief of Staff Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In regards to the fundraising, that's sort of, we're separate, the city's separate from that entity. What we've asked them to do is, once they've got to the point where they're ready to conceptually come to the city, they're gonna submit a concept plan, just like any other planning operation within the city. At that point, then council will have the opportunity to scrutinize and look at the monument, because we're not really sure, they're not really sure either whether it's going to be a statue or a monument of some type. So it'll be a concept phase, and then steps that we would typically see in the planning department.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief of Staff. Appreciate it. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I will do a roll call vote on this resolution. This is Resolution 2020-10. Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, Resolution 2020-10 is adopted and approved by this council. Thank you very much, council. We're going to go to item C, resolution concerning deeds of dedication of portions of Chesapeake Drive and Seneca Avenue. And I'll hand this off to Councilmember Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce a resolution concerning deeds of dedication for portions of Chesapeake Drive and Seneca Avenue.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsager. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce a resolution carries 5-0 in the affirmative. This is going to be Resolution 2020-11, Council. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, a local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland City Charter, Section 33, 34, 65, and 66, concerning deeds of dedication for portions of the Chesapeake Drive and Seneca Avenue. Again, this is Resolution 2020-11. Council, to have a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Ringsager to adopt, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments on the resolution?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, everybody can recall to last meeting when we gave up the rights to a portion of a parking lot. That all resulted from a title search when they tried to sell Concord Cove Apartments. One of the other things they found was there were sections of Seneca Avenue and Chesapeake Drive that were never actually deeded over to the city. So right now, this is just cleanup work. The city already maintains these roads. There's no cost associated with accepting the deed, and all it does is just clean up some paperwork from 30 years ago.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ringsager. Any further questions or comments? Okay. I'm going to get a roll call vote on this ordinance. Again, resolution. Again, this is Resolution 2020-11. Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, Resolution 2020-11 is adopted and approved by council. Item D, resolution concerning lease agreement between the city and the Motor Vessel Summer Breeze LLC. Councilmember Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, give me just a moment here. Paperwork was out of order. I make a motion to introduce a resolution concerning a lease agreement between City and MV Summer Breeze LLC.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsager. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion to introduce a resolution carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this is going to be Resolution 2020-12. A resolution of the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the authority of the Havre de Grace City Charter, Sections 34 and 76, approving a lease agreement between the city and the motor vessel Summer Breeze LLC for use of a city pier. Council to have a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Ringsager, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Ringsager.
This is a lease renewal for the motor vessel Summer Breeze with the city. They, in the previous lease, they were to do improvements on the dock. They were never completed. Part of the improvements included the reduction in the cost of the lease for the dock last year. And they've agreed with the renewal to pay the difference and then still make the necessary improvements on the dock. The money that it's stipulated that they have to pay ahead of time. The lease is contingent upon them paying it first before it's executed by the mayor and the city council. And this is recommended by our planning department. We have no problems with that. So,
Okay.
motion to accept it.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ringsager. Any other questions or comments?
Got
Council President?
one. It's my understanding this is just to get the lease agreement in place.
Yes, sir.
I mean, under the current restrictions, they couldn't move forward with the Summer Breeze with the restrictions from the governor. But once those are released, then we can move forward. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe the state of emergency does have certain restrictions on what they can use their vessel for. We're trying to get all the paperwork in place right now for the upcoming boating season for them, and then clean up the issues from the previous dock repairs that they were supposed to do, and make sure that the dock improvements were completed, and to set them up on a path for the future lease with up to 2024, I believe it is. And I did say planning department before I meant Marine Commission.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else, Council President?
None.
Any other further questions or comments?
I just have two minor typos.
Councilmember Zinner?
Lines 110 and 111, it starts with middle of the line, late payments will be charged to 1.5% per month services charge. I didn't know if services was more correct than to put service charge. So if we take out the S or not. I don't know if it makes any difference.
I didn't really understand what you were saying.
Oh, sorry, okay. Let me pull this down a little bit.
Thank you.
Sure. So it starts out on line 110, so late payments will be charged to 1.5% per month services charge. And I didn't know if it was more correct just to say per month service charge or services charge, or if it doesn't make any difference at all.
I don't think it's going to matter.
Okay, and then on line 117, Lisi agrees that it may use only that a portion. And I just had to remove the A, so it would say that only that portion of.
Okay, thank you.
Any issues with that?
I got that. And
That's it.
that's it? I note too that it looks like the resolution refers to Exhibit A at the bottom of page 40, line 45, and the top of the exhibit says Exhibit B, so I will correct that.
Thank you, Ms. Ishak.
Because there is no Exhibit B, it's only A.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments before I go for the vote? Councilmember Ringsager. I'll say you.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, Resolution 2020-12 is adopted and approved by this council. Okay, that does it for the the resolutions this evening. Now we go into item 9. We have two ordinances, the tax rate and the water and sewer rate. And we're going to go with Councilmember Robertson for the introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to introduce the 2021 water and sewer rates.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson, seconded by the Council President. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance on first reading. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce the tax rate ordinance carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this is going to be ordinance 1033. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the authority provided by the annotated Code of Maryland, Tax Property Article Title VI, and the Local Government Article of the annotated Code of Maryland, fixing the tax rate for the fiscal year July 1, 2020 to June 30th, 2021, on each $100 of assessable real property, personal property, and providing an additional special tax levied within the critical area special taxing district and setting the service charge for the semi-annual property tax payment option. Council, do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on first reading?
Mr. Mayor, point of order. If I may, the councilman introduced the water and sewer rate, and you read the tax rate.
Yeah, I did them backwards, Mr. Mayor, sorry.
Oh, you did say water and sewer, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I thought that's what I heard you ask for.
All right, well, we'll make this real simple then. Do you move to introduce the tax rate ordinance also?
I move to introduce the FY 2021 tax rate.
Councilmember Ringsager, do you still second the introduction of the tax rate
Absolutely.
ordinance?
Absolutely.
Okay, and we'll still call this 1033.
I just wanted to make sure it was proper.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah,
So we have a motion by Councilman Robertson, second, no, I'm sorry. It was seconded by the Council President,
That's fine.
sorry. Motion by Councilman Robertson, seconded by the Council President to introduce the tax rate ordinance, which is ordinance 1033. And it was voted on by 5 in the affirmative for introduction. I just read the header, and now I'm asking for any questions or comments as we vote on the first reading of this ordinance. Is everybody with me right now? Cool. All right, sorry, I didn't catch that mistake, but
Yeah, no, it was my bad.
it's all right.
And
Hey,
I
not a problem.
hesitated about telling you, and I thought maybe nobody will notice.
We have the technology and tools to fix things like that here.
All right.
I catch everything.
Questions, comments on the tax rate ordinance for first reading? Councilman
Mr.
Robertson.
Mayor, I am a little confused maybe, because it looks like we're fixing the tax rate at .565, and then we're increasing the tax rate by .044. Am I understanding that correctly?
Hold on.
So in two whereases, the first whereas,
Grab Mr. DeHorty.
set the real property tax rate at 56 1/2 cents. So that's the .565, and then two whereases down, it's set the real property tax rate. So what, I guess, real property, that's different than real estate? And that's different than personal property?
Hold on, I'm pulling
Okay.
it up right now.
Hey, Mr. DeHardy. So I might have answered myself, reading myself back again, but can you just explain to me what the real property tax rate means versus the real property tax rate, which would pertain to real estate?
Actually, the real property tax rate is .565. .044 is the additional real property tax for the critical area.
Okay, so by the storm area, I gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you. I'm wondering if, would it help if we put that language in the whereas?
Well,
Anyone
it
have?
does say critical area, doesn't it? At the
Oh,
end of the
yeah, it
sentence?
does, yeah, located within the critical area, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad, guys. I
Not
need
a
a little
problem.
more
It just
coffee
took me
tonight.
for a minute to find it in here, but that's okay. Mr. Doherty, mind just hanging out for a few minutes while we deal with the tax rate ordinance and water sewer ordinance?
Absolutely, sir.
All right. Okay, not a problem, Councilman Robertson. You have any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
I got one.
Council President.
I just want to reinforce to the residents that may be viewing this that the tax rate is no change from last year.
That is correct, sir.
Well, I would, Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I guess, just from a practical standpoint, is it possible that we assess the tax rate at a future date? I know that, we have to have it done by a certain time of the year, but being that the proposed budget will probably change a little bit, I'm not sure what impact COVID and everything has on that. And I know that we were talking about possibly doing a budget work session. I mean, I guess it's really 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, whether we adopt this and we can amend it later or, whatever the case may be. What are your thoughts?
Well, I know we have to have a tax rate handed into the state of Maryland, before July 1, right?
Yes, sir. That is correct. And the current budget that you have is based on this tax rate. So if
Right.
you were to amend it, then we would by necessity have to amend the revenues in the current budget. And that would have to be done by adjustment to the budget ordinance when it comes later in June.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we're probably going to be adjusting the fund balance on the front end before, we even get to July.
Quite
But,
possibly.
Yeah. All right, just a question. I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter. We can adopt it tonight and then we can adjust it later if need be.
Well, I mean, I know what you're saying. Is this tax rate enough to sustain us if the revenues aren't there and things like that, right?
Right.
Because of COVID-19. I mean, it's a good thing to look at in detail. Tonight is an introduction. We don't adopt it finally until the next council meeting. So it's, again, I mean, honestly, the council, in theory, can cut the tax rate, keep it the same, or you can raise it wherever you want to raise it. So these are all good questions. I mean, right now, the budget that, at least I feel from an administrative point, the budget that was handed to the council in March with keeping the tax rate the same, it's a fiscally sound budget, and I also feel, should revenues not come in as quickly as we need, there is room for attrition in that budget. I mean, what I'm saying is there's projects we could
flexibility.
cut. There's not fluff,
Yeah.
but what I mean, there's, maybe instead of a sidewalk on Juniata Street, maybe that's next year. If we have to, attribute $150,000.
Capital
So
improvements we could delay, yeah.
we could, yeah, there are capital improvements in the budget that we could delay, if it becomes necessary. So like I say, I feel confident that keeping the tax rate the same is good, but by all means, these are discussions that should be having between now and the next council meeting with Mr. Doherty and
Absolutely.
if we feel like, we just don't know. I mean, we're like everybody else. We don't know. We do know that the revenue is, for Fund 9 and the general fund is slowed down. But, we're the government. I mean, eventually we will get the money. I mean, but, like I say, it's all things to consider. And that's why I'm glad you brought that question up. These are things that need to be talked about.
If I may, you'll probably
Doherty.
have a bigger impact on
Next year.
how much tax revenues will actually be collected, because it'll be the impact from unemployment and those kinds of things than the property tax base itself.
That's my concern, is if the market slows down, since, buying season is likely to dry up.
And traditionally, what we would do is look at our operations, as the mayor led to rebalance the budget, if you will. We would do budget amendments, which we will still have the ability to do during the year. As that fuzzy crystal ball becomes clear, we can act fairly quickly and accordingly to reduce spending to match. And at that point, you'd have to do a special assessment rather than change the tax rate, because it's going out July 1. But I'm not sure you're going to be far enough along to be able to accurately predict what the unemployment impact is going to be by July 1, quite frankly.
No, you're right. I mean, this is probably going to impact 2022's budget more than 2021.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, thanks, George.
Mhm.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely, Councilmember Robertson. Thank you very much. Any further questions or comments? Okay, council, I'm going to do a roll call vote on ordinance 1033 dealing with the tax rate. This is first reading. And by the way, after we vote on this, we're going to be going into a public hearing tonight on this ordinance, so just hang tight, everybody. So, roll call vote, tax rate ordinance. Councilmember Boyer,
Yes.
Council President Glenn,
Yes.
Councilmember Ringstocker,
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner,
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in affirmative, ordinance 1033 is adopted. Thank you very much, council. Council, who had the motion to adopt?
I believe I did.
Okay. And who had the second? Who had your second?
It was Dave, right?
What's that?
CP?
Yeah, CP. All right, Councilmember Robertson. Council President Glenn. Okay, thank you. Got to write it down. Okay, we're going to go to item B, ordinance concerning the water and sewer rate for 2021. Councilmember Robertson?
Mr. Mayor, I move to introduce the water and sewer rates for FY 2021.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilman Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Ringstocker. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce the water and sewer rate ordinance carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this will be ordinance 1034. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and the City Charter Section 33 and 34 and City Code Chapter 196 and Exhibit A thereto establishing the city water and sewer rates and service participation fees for the users of the city water and sewer system. Again, this is ordinance 1034. Council, to have a motion to adopt on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments on the water and sewer rate? Council President.
I have one minor clerical change. On page 5, where it says meter size 1 inch, the quarterly IRF service charge should be $30 and not $100.
Is that correct?
Yes.
I have the change, but I'm not sure if that's what was intended. Is that,
Yeah, yes, the $100 was a typographical error in the generation of the draft.
Okay. All right. Figured it was, but since you're the man that counts the money, I'm gonna,
I checked with the man.
I knew, I kind of figured it wasn't that. We'd be chased out of town if it was. So, okay. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Mr. Vorty. Any other further questions or comments? Okay. I'm going to do a roll call vote on the first reading of the water and sewer rate. Councilmember Zinner?
Yes.
Councilmember Ringstocker?
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson?
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
Council President Glenn?
Yes.
A roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative. The first reading of ordinance 1034 dealing with the water and sewer rate is adopted and approved by this council. Thank you, council. Ladies and gentlemen, normally how we handle ordinances is we introduce an ordinance for first reading at a council meeting. Then the following council meeting, we have a public hearing, and then the meeting after that, we have a second reading and adoption. That's a general rule of thumb. One thing we can't do is we can't have a first and second reading and adoption of a law in one night. But when we have the public hearing, we have latitude with. So I just wanted everybody to know, it's been advertised in the paper that we were going to introduce the tax rate and water and sewer rate this evening and hold the public hearing tonight as well. We will introduce these two ordinances at the next council meeting in 2 weeks. And we will still listen to public comment. And between now and the next meeting in 2 weeks, if you have a question on the water and sewer rate, or if you have a question on the tax rate, please call City Hall at 939-1800, or you may email anyone at City Hall and we'll answer your questions best you can, or we can read your comments into the record if you wish. So we're having a public hearing this evening, which was advertised in the paper, that we were having a public hearing tonight. But again, that doesn't mean you can't comment. You have 2 more weeks to reach out to City Hall, reach out to a council member, ask questions, or put a statement on record, as well as attend the next council meeting and address the council in person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into recess from the meeting, and we're going to hold a public hearing on ordinance 1033 and 1034. Okay, we are now holding a public hearing on ordinance 1033 concerning the tax rate. Director of Administration Seipolt or Chief of Staff Gamatori, is there anyone outside, any citizens waiting to speak to the council? No? Okay. No one is here to address the tax rate. Is anyone outside here to speak on behalf of the water and sewer rate? No one's here to speak on the water and sewer rate. Okay, the public hearing began at 7:46 and the public hearing ended in 7:46 p.m. Again, I just want to remind citizens, you have between now and the next council meeting on May 18th, if you wish to submit a comment or to come to the council meeting and speak. For the record, I'm not sure if it was mentioned yet. I know the council president said that the tax rate is staying the same as it was the year before. It's not being raised. The water and sewer rate is the same as it was previous year. The water and sewer rate is not being changed either. So we are now going to reconvene council meeting. It's 7:47. And we are back into our council meeting of May 4th. We just held a public hearing on ordinance 1033 and 1034 regarding the tax rate and water sewer rate. And we will move on to item 13, which will be old business. This evening we have no old business. Item 14, new business. We have a special event presented by Mr. Patrick Seipolt, Director of Administration. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, Council. For your consideration this evening, the special event is actually the Havre Grace Youth Sailing Program Summer Camp. The school is sponsored by the Havre Grace Youth Sailing Program. This is a multi-week event, approximately 2.5 months in duration. It begins June 13th and ends August 29th. The school will operate from the Community Pavilion at the Frank J. Hutchins Memorial Park. Anticipated attendance is 200 students. They will have a Maryland licensed doctor on staff. 2 of their instructors are Red Cross certified lifeguards, and all of their instructors are trained in first aid, CPR, and the use of AED devices. The public work expense for this, for the 2.5 months, is $2,626.50, and that's for keeping the bathrooms maintained and cleaned and the trash receptacles in and around the school.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seipolt. Council, I have a motion to approve the Havre Grace Sailing Camp.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsager and seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments? Council President.
Again, Mr. Seipold, this special event can only be held once we get relief from restrictions currently placed by the governor of the state of Maryland.
Yes, sir. The approval would be pending once the executive orders are either modified or lifted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council President. Anyone further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Havre de Grace Sailing Camp is approved, 5-0 in the affirmative. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Seipel. You mind sticking around? We're going to move into item number 15, which is Director's Reports. And we're going to start with you, Mr. Seipel, Director of Administration. How are things going?
They're doing well, given these unprecedented times that we're in. Just a reminder, since we're live streaming, that our regularly scheduled city election is postponed tomorrow. So hopefully people won't be coming here expecting to cast a ballot. It'll be postponed until a date is determined by you once the executive order from the governor is modified or changed. So please stay tuned. On a different note, the farmers market kicked off their season on Saturday at Hutchins Park. Their opening day was very good, despite the COVID-19 constraints. The vendors and patrons exercised good form and restraint. There were 25 vendors, and many sold out before the market closed. A special feature this past week was having the market open at 8:30 a.m. for the seniors and those with underlying health issues so they could kind of get in and out. The market will open again this Saturday at 8:30, and the weather looks promising, albeit somewhat cooler. The farmers market is open every Saturday from May until mid-November and features locally grown produce, baked goods, meats, soaps, beer, wine, spirits, and handcrafted items. So I look forward to seeing you there. We really, on a final note, we just truly appreciate the patience and understanding of all the citizens as we navigate through these unprecedented times. We continue to update our calendar with event cancellations and, more importantly, postponements. So please stay tuned and stay connected as we continue to manage our calendar and navigate through these times. You can always visit our sites at havredegrace.com, explorehavredegrace.com, and hdgoperahouse.org. And that'll conclude remarks from the Department of Administration. And with your permission, I'd like to represent the Department of Planning as Director Grimm was unable to attend this evening.
Yes, sir.
The Planning Commission is being convened for a work session on May 19th at 6:30 to review the concept plan submitted for the Green Ianello Patron properties. The work session will be live streamed on YouTube, and a link will be provided on our webpage. Citizens can contact Shane Grimm, Director of Planning, directly with questions or comments at Shane G at havredegracemd.com. With spring in full swing and plentiful rain, grass is growing quickly. This is a reminder to please cut your grass and maintain your premises. Also, with heavy spring rains and thunderstorms come flooding. Do your part to ensure that gutters and storm drain inlets are free of debris that may block water from getting into the storm drain system. If a storm drain inlet is severely blocked, please notify the Department of Public Works. The 2020 census is currently underway, and the Havre de Grace zip code has a response rate of about 66.5%. While that is decent, it's not perfect. We need to be counted. It is important for every household to respond to the census and achieve a 100% response rate. Your response to the 2020 census is critically important to our local community and the country. Local communities depend on information from the American Community Survey as well as the 2020 census to decide where schools, highways, hospitals, and other important services are needed. The data collected through the 2020 census helps determine how to distribute more than $675 billion of federal spending each and every year. The Department of Planning and Economic Development has been working with the new owner of 1354 Old Post Road It was the former home of the Sherwin-Williams Corporation. City staff worked diligently to fast-track a demolition permit for a portion of the building. The new owner is proposing to significantly invest in the property, which will improve the appearance of the property and highlight the possibilities for revitalization and reinvestment in the corridor. And that will conclude the comments from the Department of Planning.
Mr. Seipel, thank you very much for the updates and for filling in for Mr. Grimm. Appreciate it. We're going to call into the chamber Ms. Erica Quisenberry, the Director of Economic Development for City Havre de Grace. Good evening. Thanks for being here. How are things going in economic development?
They're going a little hectic. There's a lot of websites crashing at the state level, and we're getting a lot of calls about them, but we're trying to work with all of our businesses and keep a positive spin on things and keep things moving forward. As you've seen, if you've gone downtown, we've got a lot of businesses who are doing curbside pickup that are using new methods with social media for advertising and promoting their businesses. And while you were in here tonight, we had several of our restaurants set out their Mother's Day curbside pickup, brunches, breakfasts, and dinners. So they're really working hard and really trying to put a new spin on things to serve people in a new way. And I'm really proud of the work that they're doing down there to keep things going in the city of Havre de Grace. Everything from the wine ferries that they have delivering special treats just to say hello, straight on to just helping one another, putting kindness rocks out. We're in a very special place, and it really shows. So it's pretty great to be part of Havre de Grace when you've got a town like this. Funds are still being distributed for the Maryland Commerce COVID-19 relief funding. It's all first received, first served basis, beginning with the folks who applied on March 23. There is still money within the program. They aren't accepting new applications, but they're still processing them for the money to go out. April 24th, the fourth federal package was signed into law for small business relief. That's at $310 billion to replenish the Paycheck Protection Program, again, run through SBA programs. This was $50 billion for Small Business Administration, EIDL, which is the disaster loan program, and then $10 billion for the EIDL grants. All those are still going through the backlog as well. On the 24th of April, a new program was funded for previously ineligible claimants, and those are being handled through the Department of Labor's unemployment page. The best advice that I can give to businesses is the Maryland Business Relief Wizard, which is at www.reliefwizard.net, is a single source page that you can go onto and answer the questions and prompts, and it'll tell you specifically which programs are still open, accepting applications, and which ones you qualify based upon your answers to your questions. You might not have all of the answers about different programs and program funding, but you can answer questions about your own business, and that'll tell you which programs you can funnel to from there. So it's really the first and best spot to go to at this point for those downtown businesses. And then just one last thing, I saw this in one of our businesses this week, and I thought it was the most appropriate thing I've seen in a while about the situation we find ourselves in facing COVID and the response that Mayor and Council has given. And it's, we're not all in the same boat, but we're all in the same storm. So let's support each other. And I thought that was just great, and I want to thank the business. They know who put it up, and wish them the best as we get through this. And thank you all for your support in economic development.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Quisenberry. Appreciate your time. We're on call forward, Mr. George Zahorty, our Director of Finance. Welcome back, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. First, again, thank you guys for approving the first reading and the public hearing for the water, sewer, and tax rate ordinances. It is the foundation for our budget, as was noted, and I suspect 2020 and 2021 is going to be a very active budget year in terms of budget amendments and the like. But that said, the current position of the city, the general fund is sitting at about $1.1 million, which is about $430,000 ahead of the budget. Most of that property taxes this year were about $185,000 more than what we had projected in the budget, and we started the year with $285,000 more, which basically accounts for your 430,000 over budget situation, or ahead of budget, I should say. The water sewer fund is sitting at a deficit of about $1.6 million, and it has decreased to a little over 1.7 for the year. Our operating profit this year so far, year to date, has been 1.8 million. We've generated another 2.1 in capital revenues, capital cost recovery fees and the like. And we have spent 5.7 million in capital projects, mostly the water treatment plant. And as I've said several times in prior meetings, the $1.6 million state assistance that we thought we were going to get and didn't get is your primary contributor to the current situation in the water sewer fund. The marina is sitting at about $850,000, which is about a $200,000 increase for the year. About $170,000 of that can be attributed to timing of getting the new boating season slip rentals in and the like, and the other $30,000 is basically profit on fuel sales, which have really slowed, obviously, with the governor's orders, and we'll see how that plays out. But that's really the current state of affairs of the three major funds of the city. And again, thank you.
Any questions for Mr. DeHorty? Okay, Mr. Horty, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to call in Mr. Tim Whitty, Director of Public Works.
Mayor, Council.
Good evening, Mr. Whitty. Thanks for being here.
Good, glad to be here. Just a couple things. I know we had some issues. We had a project up at Bully Rock Tower where we were doing some repair work up there, as well as installing a circulation machine device up to mixing the water, a mixing unit up in the tower to increase the water quality. We brought the tower down, and then there was an issue at the Bully Rock, which caused everyone's water to drop. That was the service was simply restored. We did manage to get inside and put in the mixing unit. We repaired rust, and we actually found when we filled the tank up the first time that there's a couple pinhole leaks in it. Drained the tank down again, made those repairs. Filled the tank up. That work was started on Monday, and then we finished late Friday evening. The tank is full of water. It's still valved off. We're going to do a bacteria test, which was done today. And then they have to do a test for VOCs to make sure none of the paint is leached off into the water. And once those tests come back at the end, it should be by Friday, the tank back into operation. So that's the one issue that we've got there. That was the big issue. I had a little bit of excitement with everyone's water dropping. The other issue plan we have right now is we're also on the water side. We're doing flushing the hydrants as we do in the spring. So folks are going to periodically notice drop in water pressure, and also maybe their clarity or their water will be a little rusty. We just ask you just run the cold water for a couple minutes, and then it'll all clear up. I do have moving forward with capital projects. We're waiting on the bond market. I have awarded several projects. We have put those on hold until such time as the pandemic here settles down and bond market opens up, and we can start getting around to working on the capital projects that we so much talked about over the winter when we were talking about the bond. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Whitty? Thank you, Mr. Whitty. Thanks for being here.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to call in Chief Teresa Walter. Good evening. Thanks for being here.
Mayor and Council. I just wanted to say, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we're seeing a lot of people that are separated from their families, either due to illness or distance or anything like that. And I just want to remind people to call their family or their friends, check on them, not only for their emotional or psychological well-being, but also for their physical well-being. Because we have seen a bit of an uptick of people that have been sick and somebody hasn't checked on them, or for whatever reason, through distance or whatever, and they've actually needed help. So I please remind everybody to check on them. It's not a whole lot of heavy lifting. Maybe once a week, give them a call. that type of thing. The other thing I want to do is I want to thank all of the people who have helped us out with PPEs, whether it's the homemade masks or the KN95 masks or even the dust masks. We really do appreciate it. Gloves, hand sanitizers, and we've had a lot of people that have had food sent to us, that type of thing. And it's been amazing how everybody in this community has really come together and really helped us out. I know the hose company and the ambulance corps have also received the same thing. But I do really want to thank everybody, and we do appreciate for everything that they have done for us. So hopefully this will end pretty soon, we hope, but we shall see. And that'll be it.
Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. We're going to roll into item number 16, comment or business from the mayor's office. This evening, we introduced two important ordinances. One was the tax rate ordinance, and the other one was the water and sewer rate ordinance. And tonight was a first reading and introduction. Again, I said it earlier, but citizens still have 2 weeks should they wish to submit comments by email or by phone, or to come at the next council meeting on May 18th if they wish to comment. Just want to reiterate that the tax rate is unchanged for next year, and the water and sewer rates are unchanged for next year. We are holding the line on those rates, and as we said earlier in the year before we had our special election in February for the $15 million bond, we committed that we could take on this bond and that the infrastructure replacement fee of $30 a quarter would pay for that debt service. So we're holding the line on the water rates. They will not be raised this year. If you have any comments, please submit email, phone call, or come in person at the next council meeting. Just a couple things real quick. It was said by Councilmember Robertson earlier in the meeting when we were discussing the tax rate ordinance, you know, what should the tax rate be? We're not really sure what the financial outlook's going to be. I don't really think anybody knows what the financial outlook's going to be, although we're very confident as a city that we're in good shape. Right now, we are in a financial good shape. We have a rainy day fund of about $1.3 million that we have not even come close to hitting yet. Hopefully, we won't have to if we make some good decisions. I issued directives to all my directors 2 weeks ago to cease all non-essential spending that may involve projects or purchases of items, and that we will concentrate our spending on necessary purchases that involve day-to-day operations and personnel. Just being very cautious. We just want to make sure that wherever this COVID-19 pandemic takes us, that the city of Havre de Grace will be prepared, and that our number one priority is and always will be to provide services to our citizens every single day. That's police service, fire service, ambulatory service, making sure the water gets to your house, making sure the sewage leaves your house, and any infrastructure damages or needs that we might need. So those are our responsibilities and our commitment to the citizens of Havre de Grace every day. And right now, we're hanging in there. We're doing okay right now, knock on wood, but it's very tough to see into the future. So we're being very cautious with things. And the council president will be mentioning a little bit later that we are going to start looking at the proposed budget for fiscal year 21, and that there's going to be a public work session on the budget, and the council president's going to give everybody the date on that shortly. But, you know, we just want everybody to know, watching at home, that, you know, we're being very cautious. We're making good decisions. I appreciate council support on this. And one key difference that everybody needs to know, that the city of Havre de Grace is not like the federal government. We can't spend money we don't have. If we run out of money, we run out of money. So, you know, we're just like everyone else's household. You know, you can't write checks when you don't have money in the bank. So, you know, we're being cautious, we're in good shape, and we're going to continue to make smart decisions with our allocation of your tax dollars. So, just want to say, I'll tell you what, over the weekend, Concord Point Lighthouse looked really nice, illuminated blue. So did our downtown business district, in support of Healthcare Hero Days and the Fallen Hero Day that we observed. Farmers market went well. There were a lot of people out at the farmers market. Everybody practiced social distancing. A lot of people had their face mask on. People seemed to be very positive spirits. Just also a reminder, our soup kitchen, we have 3 soup kitchen and food pantries in City Havre de Grace: St. John's Cupboard, Grace Place, and Kitchen Door. And they're always looking for more donations, and either food donations or monetary donations if you're able to help out. And if you can donate, please call City Hall 939-1800 and ask for Miss Risa Laird, the executive assistant to the mayor, and she can help you figure out where to get that food or that monetary donation if you want to help our soup kitchens and food pantries. The Director of Administration earlier mentioned that we are in the midst of a census year. The census is not something that's just done for fun. The census is actually part of our U.S. Constitution. It's done every 10 years, and that's how we know how many people live where. It helps us with our allocation of representation and other things like dollars spent on students and hospitals and fire companies and other vital services. Oddly enough, downtown Havre de Grace has a 56% reporting percentage on the census, but up on the hill, we are up to 85%. So I'm not sure, that invisible barrier on Route 40, I don't know why that's such a deficient. But listen, Havre de Grace, we need 100% participation. So everyone should have gotten a letter in the mail, or we can go to a website and log on. It takes less than 5 minutes to do the census. It's extremely important. So let's get Havre de Grace at 100% census participation. And finally, I want to commend Havre de Grace citizens. It's been talked about over the last couple of weeks. A few weeks ago at a county council meeting, a doctor of infectious diseases from University of Maryland Upper Chesapeake mentioned that Havre de Grace had a low amount of COVID cases. At that time, we were less than 10. I think today we're around 14 or 15 cases. Again, it just says 21078. Could be in city limits, outside city limits. And that's also cases that are perhaps people recovered from at this point. It's total cases in the last, since early March. And, for a city of 14,000 plus people, we'll know once we're done the census. Anyway, for a city of 14,000 and some people, that's pretty darn good to have those low numbers of COVID cases. And it only goes to attribute the seriousness and responsibility that the citizens of this community are treating this pandemic. Personally, I couldn't be more proud. When I go around the city to check on things and I see people practicing social distancing, I see neighbors talking to each other a good 6 feet or more apart. Citizens are being very responsible. Now, I know it's been 6 weeks or more that we've been under a stay-at-home order from the governor, under this lockdown, and about a month we've been on a stay-at-home order. I know a lot of people are getting spring fever, they're getting itchy. A lot of people have different views on the subject. Some people clearly tell me that that the governor is doing the right thing, that this pandemic is still strong, and any wrong move, we could make ourselves worse. And other people say that we should start relaxing things and start getting out a little bit more and looking into other ways we can improve things. It's difficult to say. I'm reserving my own judgment because I think there's a lot of unknowns and variables that are just impossible to tell. The only thing certain about this is it's uncertain. And just today, we're almost averaging almost 1,000 new cases a day. And it's so, again, I hope people use their best judgment. I hope people remember that your health and safety is just as important as someone else's. And that, Governor Hogan about a month ago quoted one of my favorite characters in world history, which is Winston Churchill. And he used a good line. I'm going to say it again. And Governor Hogan said, quoting Winston Churchill, "When you're going through hell, keep going." And we're committed to this now as a community, and I think we should see it through. No matter how antsy we get or how much we want to do the things that we're used to doing under normal conditions, I believe firmly that there are more bad days behind us than ahead of us. And I think that we're going to start seeing some good news come our way pretty soon. So hang in there, Havre Grace. You're doing a great job. You're doing a terrific job. And one last thing I want to talk about before I hand it over to the council for comments is we did have to postpone our May 5th election. If you're familiar with Havre Grace, we have an election every single year. 3 council members are up each year, and on the off year, the mayor's up with the other 3 council members. And it was not an easy decision to make, along with his legislative body. Nobody likes to mess with or alter democracy. I know it was a tough decision for council members to weigh in. It was equally as tough for my office. It was the last thing we wanted to address. It was the last thing we wanted to do was postpone the election. And I think probably the most difficult obstacle we faced was the whole 10-person limit rule. How do you get the election judges in and the people in to a room when you only have 10 people in a room? And how do you even expose the election judges to potential risk of contracting COVID-19? We weighed a lot of different scenarios, and ultimately the scenario that we picked was to postpone it. The governor gave permission to the city of Havre de Grace. Matter of fact, the governor gave permission to, I think it's 34 municipalities in the state of Maryland have elections in the spring. And he gave permission under an executive order that these municipalities could postpone their elections if they needed to. So out of the safety of not only the citizens, but the election workers that are volunteers and serve on the Board of Election Commission, we decided to temporarily postpone it. And also, we wouldn't want to put anyone in risk that is afraid to leave their home under this virus condition. We wouldn't want to disenfranchise half our voters because they're afraid of catching a virus just to come cast a vote. And I know that the resolution that council passed the other week stated that we will hold the election within 60 days after the governor's stay-at-home order is lifted. That's true. But I'm also here to tell you, if any better conditions presents itself, we will have the election ahead of time. If the governor says next week, you can have 25 people in a room and the stay-at-home order is lifted, we'll try to have it sooner rather than later. We just need a little bit better conditions to hold the election. So, again, I just want to say that it's regretful we had to postpone the election. It's the one thing that really, that really just doesn't sit right. But we're in unprecedented times. There's a lot of things we're doing now that we never had to do before. So it's on everyone's mind to get this election carried out as soon as we possibly can. So if you have any questions, please call City Hall 939-1800. And or you can email anyone. Go to the City of Havre Grace website, and a lot of email addresses for city employees as well as myself and other council members are on the city website. So with those, I conclude my comments. Stay safe, Havre de Grace. Very proud of you, and we'll get this through this together. We're going to move over to Council Member Zinner for comments. Good evening, Council Member Zinner.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, council members, citizens. I just have a few announcements to make. Last year I talked quite a bit about being on the scholarship committee for the Seroptimist. So we got 43 applications this year, which was about 20 less than what we had last year, but still much better than we had 2 years ago. And we went through those applications and we were able to award 11 scholarships. Of those 11, 3 went to Havre de Grace seniors. So I would just like to congratulate the 3 seniors from Havre de Grace High School that were awarded a scholarship. Jessica Delos Santos, Tania Scott, and Autumn Twombly are 3 of the young women who were selected this year to receive a Seroptimist scholarship. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is this week is Nurses Week. And Wednesday, which is Florence Nightingale's birthday, is Nurses Day. So be sure to honor a nurse in your life. And if you see a nurse, make sure you thank them for all the hard work that they're doing and the risks that they're taking. The next thing is I just wanted to mention that the Independence Day Commission actually did meet last Monday via Zoom. We did not have any citizen guests, but we did conduct our meeting. We will have another meeting off date because the next meeting would be scheduled for Memorial Day, so we're going to have it on Tuesday, May 19th at 7 PM, and we'll be doing it the same way through virtual meeting. The Historic Preservation Commission has not met, and nor has the Arts Commission. So I think they're still struggling with whether they want to go with the virtual idea or just wait until the restrictions are lifted and have an in-person meeting. And the last thing I want to say is basically repeat what the mayor said in terms of our citizens. I don't go out very much, but I do go to the store. And when I go, I'm very happy to see people wearing masks and keeping their distance. And even if I drive down here for something, I pay attention to what everybody's doing. And I just really want to thank everyone for their dedication to following the guidelines and doing the right thing and showing the respect that I think we all deserve by following those guidelines and not putting anyone at risk, either themselves or the other citizens in the community or people who come to visit. So again, I want to thank all of you for I know some of you are making many sacrifices, and I think we won't know. It'll be a long time before we know all of the costs, and I'm not talking about monetary costs so much as I'm talking about emotional and educational and healthcare costs that are involved with this pandemic, and hopefully we can come together afterwards and make huge improvements into some of the social and economic scenarios that have been uncovered during this pandemic. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Councilmember Ringsacker.
Mr. Mayor, Council, first I'd like to send prayers out to Councilman Martin right now, and he's not with us this evening. As previously stated, May 19th, we'll have the Planning Commission meeting. That'll be available on YouTube, and the other details will be available on the city website. The only thing else I have to say is tomorrow would have been perfect weather for the election. And I lament missing that because I had a real big party planned, win or lose, because it's not often that Cinco de Mayo falls on Taco Tuesday. And it's going to enjoy ourselves, but we'll wait a little bit and just when they say we can get back together, we'll get back together. So with that, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ringsacker. Councilmember Boyd.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I want to thank you all for your votes in support of the Green Team. This is one of the many projects that they have going on, and it's very exciting to be part of a group that has a can-do attitude and is always trying to find ways to help our city stay at the cusp of creativity. So the next thing to keep on the horizon is bees and becoming a bee city. So I'll be providing you with more information. You'll be hearing talk about that, hopefully throughout the community as we go forward.
Just no murder hornets?
No murder hornets. We're not a hornet city, we're a bee city. I want to, again, as everyone has said before, please continue to look out for your neighbors. It's where I sit and work every day, I can see a lot of people walking by, and it's warming to know that we have the kind of community that everybody from around here, from the other rest of the county, Cecil County, like to come and just walk along our streets as groups. At the same time, I have noticed a lot of people walking the wrong direction on the promenade, and I think it needs to be reinforced. If you as a member of a citizen here in Havre see someone walking the wrong way, please let them know that they're walking the wrong way, and express to them why it's important to us, the citizens, to keep it open so that it doesn't get closed.
Please, no fights.
Yeah, no fights, though. I went kayaking this weekend, and this is another issue that is of concern. The water quality was horrible. Now, I know that there were a lot of gates up for the dam, but this is our drinking water. And it's something that we need to, every time that something like this happens, we need to take a pause and make sure that all of our elected officials, not just here in City Hall, but all the way up to our senators and our congressmen, know We have a real concern of what's coming down the Susquehanna. It was so bad that when you went in and put the paddle, you could see it just stirring. It was just disgusting. It was like kayaking through chocolate milk. There were very few fish jumping, and that's just another sign that the bay is not healthy when you don't see fish jumping. The eagles weren't even fishing very much. That was another weird thing that I saw. And because also, aside from Nurses Week, is also Teacher Appreciation Week. So to our teacher at the head of the dais, thank you. And for everybody who's at home now who's a teacher, Jason and Jimmy, how about that?
It's also State Employee Appreciation Day.
It keeps going. So, and finally, I too want to wish David a speedy recovery. I hope he gets better soon, and thinking about you, Debbie. Take care of him. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyd, appreciate it. Councilmember Robertson.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen on the dais, city administration, folks at home. A few things. Number one is just a reminder that no Budget and Finance Committee meeting tomorrow. Number two is I really want to thank the community a lot for contributing to the American Legion's food pantry. We've got national recognition. The National American Legion came to Havre Grace and did a story about the community and about that food pantry and all the folks that have donated. We've had, their name escapes me, but George from George's Chicken, now Vintage Cafe, donated a whole truckload, 10 pallets worth to the city for St. John's food pantry and the Legion's food pantry. So, you know, stuff like that's really cool. And I just want to thank everybody for contributing. Also, if you were tuned into last week's council meeting, I maybe got a little spirited in my comments toward the end, and you know, just want to apologize for my use of language. You know, I know that sometimes there are kids and all watching, and it's inappropriate anyway. So, you know, no matter how passionate we get, we just got to remember our place. And Mr. Mayor, that's it.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Business from the council president. How goes it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. I too want to send my thoughts and prayers out to Councilmember Martin. Anybody that knows Dave knows that he has to be one sick puppy if he's not sitting up here. And he's been fighting pneumonia, and we wish him nothing but the best and a speedy recovery. Regarding the budget, I want to take this opportunity to thank my fellow council members. They've been, despite COVID-19, they've been engaged in the budget. They've been, had George DeHorty on speed dial with their questions. And with that being said, because of COVID-19 and everything that's going on and all the changes that are going to happen after that, we're going to have just one public work session this year, and that public work session will be on May 26th at 6 p.m. And so we will be either Zooming it or live streaming it. I don't think that's been determined yet, but we'll be getting that out. So stay tuned for that. The last 2 months have been, without a doubt, a real challenge for this community. However, it hasn't been the big name CEOs that have been the real heroes. Therefore, we must not miss the opportunity to send prayers and pay tribute to the following. Number one, the food service workers, the food pantries, the restaurants, and the invaluable volunteers that have provided free meals to those in need throughout this pandemic. That's a huge plus. The janitors who have worked long hours to keep things sanitized and free from germs during this ongoing virus. Number three, outstanding volunteers like Dina Cardwell, Sonia Cubberly, Kimmy Brown, amongst many others, who have used their personal time to sew countless protective face masks for the community. Number four, local businesses and business owners like White Tiger Distillery, East Coast Sportswear, and Pete Iannello, who have provided much-needed supplies to our local police department. Number five, essential businesses to include grocery stores, retail stores, funeral homes, and local restaurants that have changed their long-standing business practices to provide much-needed services, supplies, and meals throughout this pandemic. The Havre de Grace City staff who has kept us up to date on COVID-19 statistics and has worked tirelessly through recent storms and high tides to ensure the safety of our residents. Number 7, and this is important, the moms and dads who not only have worked full-time jobs, but also tackled the challenges associated with homeschooling and virtual learning. What a real challenge for those individuals. Number 8, I applaud the neighbors helping neighbors throughout this whole process, and it's really what makes Havre de Grace special. It really is. Number 9, our senior class of 2020, whose senior year was virtually cut short. I know that the boys lacrosse team had their sights set on a possible state championship, but never got the chance to fulfill that dream. I wish these seniors nothing but the best in all future endeavors. I am confident that these seniors will be successful and our future is in great hands. Keep in mind, this fine group of men and women have truly been battle tested, and there's no doubt in my mind they will prevail. We are so proud of you, and I can't wait for those banners to go up. Warrior proud. Number 10, for those families who have loved ones that have been hospitalized or in nursing homes or assisted living facilities, our thoughts and prayers go out to them, knowing that their loved ones have to fight and face the medical challenges without a loved one by their side. It's got to be tough. And last, but certainly not least, our first responders, our firefighters, our paramedics, the doctors, the nurses, the technicians, who are always there to answer the call. They are in harm's way each and every day, looking out for our best interests. Some have even paid the ultimate sacrifice. They are the true unsung heroes. While we are under a stay-at-home order, you may from time to time run into these outstanding individuals in your isolated travels. And if you do, please take time and the opportunity to thank them for their service. We cannot thank them enough for their tireless dedication and selfless service. I am so proud to call Havre de Grace home. Through this pandemic, we as a close-knit community have exemplified the true definition of team, and that is together, everyone achieves more. We have served as an inspiration for other municipalities and have shown that people who care can and do make a difference. It goes without saying, Grace on top. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Council President, thank you very much for your comments. Well said, sir. We're going to move to item number 8, adjournment of this meeting. Do I have a motion
So
to
moved.
adjourn?
So moved.
Council President, seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Zenner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn. May 4th council meeting carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Time is now 8:32. Councilmember Martin, if you're watching this, we wish you good health, sir, and get well soon, and we'll see you at the next council meeting. Thank you.